A reading from St. Matthew's Gospel, chapter 7. Jesus said to his disciples, "Not everyone who says to me, 'Lord, Lord,' will enter the kingdom of heaven, but only the one who does the will of my Father in heaven. On that day many will say to me, 'Lord, Lord, did we not prophesy in your name, and cast out demons in your name, and do many deeds of power in your name?' Then I will declare to them, 'I never knew you. Go away from me, you evil doers.' Everyone then who hears these words of mine and acts on them will be like a wise man who built his house on rock. The rain fell, the floods came, and the wind blew and beat on that house, but it did not fall because it had been founded on rock. And everyone who hears these words of mine and does not act on them will be like a foolish man who built his house on sand. The rain fell, and the floods came, and the winds blew and beat against that house, and it fell, and great was its fall." Now when Jesus had finished saying these things, the crowds were astounded at his teaching, for he taught them as one having authority, and not as their scribes. Some politicians proudly distinguish their public life from their religious beliefs. They say their religious faith is limited within private life. Why do they separate their religious beliefs? They sound as if they are not controlled by their religions in public life, and they make decisions for the public interest based on reason. People who speak like this suppose religious beliefs are not rational or universal. But let us listen again to Jesus. Jesus says in today's Gospel, "Everyone then who hears these words of mine and acts on them will be like a wise man who built his house on rock. The rain fell, the floods came, and the winds blew and beat on that house, but it did not fall because it had been founded on rock." We have understood this parable in such a sense that we can be saved if we exercise the teaching of Jesus. This is a good understanding. However, when we look at this parable more closely, we discover something more. The reason we can accept this parable is the rationality and universality of the parable. It is a reasonable act to build upon a firm foundation. Anyone who thinks builds on a firm foundation. This is true not only for Christians. All people build this way. Now, Jesus says, acting upon his words is like building upon a rock. Here, he tells us his words, if acted upon, can be proven real and formidable. It means his words, when acted upon, can build a reality that can survive various tests because they are real and good. He presents his words as the universal truth. His words are not only good for the Jews, but for all, because they are true. If we can go to heaven by acting upon the words of Jesus, it is not because we become merely his followers, but because what we acted upon is truly good and good for all. In other words, we go to heaven not just by saying, Lord, Lord, but by actually doing good things that conform to the words of Jesus. And these good things are not just religiously good, but good for all people. As the house on rock can survive storms and floods, these good works can survive tests for all people. It means the words of Jesus can be understood by human reason and can be acted upon by human reason and will for everyone's benefit. Bearing one's cross may sound too Christian or too religious, but there are so many non-Christians who chose to sacrifice themselves for bigger causes than their self-interest and survival. These non-Christians made those decisions not by irrational or emotional urges, but by reasoning. Anyone who can use reason can hear and act upon the words of Jesus. We act on the words of Jesus not because Jesus said so, but because what he said are true and good. True and good for all.